jack. I'm gonna lock it out. Okay. Now that we have the jack point located, I'm going to go ahead and jack up the vehicle. Okay, to recap what I just did, I drove the vehicle up on the front ramps to elevate the front of the vehicle, and I jacked up the front, the rear on both sides, and I placed jack stands underneath the front for support, underneath the rear for support, as well as I put 4 concrete tiles underneath the vehicle. And unless you feel like being royally exhausted carrying 120-pound tiles, looks like I have 8 of them, from the front, or rather from the back of the house to the garage, you can probably replace that with wooden planks, which would surely suffice. Again, vehicle's level. I feel safe working under there. Here's the jack stands. As you can see, the front ramp, I put wheel chocks behind the tires. And another thing that you need to be certain of, since I have a manual transmission, I engage the parking brake as well as put it in gear. So right now, I'm actually just preparing for the exhaust to arrive. And as long as UPS gets here today, we'll be putting it on. And I'm gonna hold off on taking the factory exhaust off again until they get here. I had 2-day shipping and it's been delayed 1 day, so you never know. We'll see what happens. Woo! Woo! Yeah! All right. Look at that bad boy. Need to be careful. There's a lot of staples in this box. I definitely don't want to pop my tires. One of the things that you want to consider when you get aftermarket components, you want to verify that all of the parts are included in the box. You don't want to get the factory exhaust off and then end up getting, 3/4 of the way through the job and realizing that you don't have all your parts and you got to put everything back on. So anyway, looks like we've got 4 clamps right here. There's our instruction manual. Packed pretty nice. Actually, it's packed really nice. Looks like this is the left mid pipe, indicated with the L right there. Or that may be what connects to the mufflers, we'll see. And then we've got our right here, indicated with the R. Put those out. I think I may be just as loud. Okay. Now, here's our X pipe. Again, this is the Ford Performance by Borla, the Sport version. And I opted for the black tips, which I don't really want to take them out yet, but I'll give you an idea. You'll see them later. The exhaust is stamped Ford Performance. Not that that matters because I'm never going to be looking at it. Put this over here. Got our other muffler. And again, both of those are indicated with right and left on either side. And it looks like that's it. Again, we have our 2 mid pipes. They're indicated left and right. There's the left. There's the right. There's our X pipe. The left muffler. Black chrome polish tip. Maybe it's not chrome, but black polish tip. And here's the right muffler. I've got a 13 millimeter deep socket, 15 millimeter deep socket. Impact wrench, you don't necessarily need it, but it's going to make the job a lot easier. Safety glasses, ratchet, and a flathead screwdriver to push the clamps back. I also opted for latex gloves, and it not only gives good grip, but keeps your hands clean. So that's pretty much it. Let's get to work. Now that we've got the car safely jacked up and sitting on stands, blocks, as well as the front ramp, we can begin uninstalling the factory exhaust. What we're doing first is removing the clamps from the H-pipe. And the H-pipe is just south of the catalytic converters, or the CATs, otherwise known as CATs. That's why this is called a Catback exhaust. And if you were going to put long tube headers or shorties on your car, they would go towards the front of the vehicle, which is currently pointing south of me. So what we're going to do right now is make sure we have, I believe this is the 15 millimeter socket. Attach it to my impact wrench. It's coming undone. And we're going to begin. There we go. You're going to save these clamps, so we're not going to throw these away. Borla supplies some clamps, but they're down for just after the mid pipe on the mufflers. But these are perfectly good clamps, and we're going to end up saving those. And I don't know if it saves you any money, because that exhaust is pretty fucking expensive.
I like it.
Hey, thank you.
My favorite color pattern.
You know, it was the first muscle car I've ever had.
Yeah?
Yeah, I just saw this model, and I'm like, I gotta get it. I sold my car, and that was it.
Yeah, this car's pretty new, huh?
Yeah.
Nice car.
Thank you, thank you.
Have a good day.
You too, man. All right, so now that I dropped every washer and bolt, because I don't have my magnetic tray, we're gonna go ahead and push these clamps back to loosen up the exhaust a bit. The other good thing to note is I didn't start working on this until after the car had cooled down. You'd end up having a bad time if this was still warm. Okay, so now that we have these tabs loosened, we're going to move back just beyond the resonator and begin to unhooking the factory exhaust from back. We're going to use the 13 millimeter socket, and we're going to remove both the factory tailpipes, but we have to remove these hangers first. There's one. Now that I have the hangers removed, these hangers on the tailpipes or the muffler are just sticking in here. So in order to get this part of the exhaust out, since the bolts for these hangers here have already been removed, we need to slide the factory exhaust front of the resonator away from the H-pipe. I've got the resonator released from the H-pipe. We're going to go ahead and pull it forward and get the tailpipes of the mufflers off those rear hooks. All right, we're coming loose. Oh, this fucker is heavy. Okay, let's set that down. Because the factory exhaust is so heavy, you want to have, if you're doing it by yourself, you want to have something to stabilize the resonator. So once you remove the clamps up front and begin to remove the tailpipes from the rear clamps, it's not going to be falling on your head. Ooh. There we go. Exhaust down. Now I'm going to go ahead and get this exhaust out of here and begin the installation of the Borla Sport. If you were wondering, that's how heavy the exhaust is. Now that we have the factory exhaust removed from the vehicle, we're going to keep these hangers right here. Let's see how easy they are. Oh, nice. To come off. It's not bad. You'll notice right here, those are going to hook back into the car, and then we run the bolts through here to connect to the frame. On the back of the factory resonator, these are the clamps that I talked about earlier that we'll be keeping. Now that the hard part's done, we've got the factory exhaust off. You can tell that that resonator got a little hot. These factory sleeves are clamps, and we're going to connect this back, the Borla H pipe to the, the Borla X pipe to the factory H pipe. I've got the clamps already on the X pipe. We're just going to go ahead and snug them on here. If you notice here, these tabs are actually what clamp over this fastener on the H pipe to secure the X pipe here. Attach the mid pipe to the X pipe, and again, these are labeled left and right, or R and L. Before we do so, we're going to take the factory hangers and you're going to put them on with the hook facing forward. So that's going to go towards the front of the car. Once you have the factory hangers on, you're going to put a clamp on the end of each pipe. Alright, there's the left one. Go ahead and snug up the bolt. At least put it in place. I'm going to go ahead and do the right side now. Looks like we have a friend checking out my work here. There's our neighborhood peacocks. All right, back to work. What we're gonna do now is tighten those factory hangers. This requires the 13mm socket, so you'll have to remove the 15mm from your wrench. And again, this is where the hook there's a hook on the end of the hook that goes in here, and you can get access to where the bolt needs to go. This is going to be our 15mm socket for the muffler installation. All right. It's probably hard to see, but those are the black tip, black polished. There's like a Ford emblem or Borla emblem up there. Exhaust tips. Get the muffler where we want it. Make sure it's not sitting on any of the rear bumper or plastic bumper back there, because you don't want all those hot exhaust gases, and let alone the hot tip melting the back of your car. And finally, to the tailpipe. Ah, it's fucking done.